have done from the inception of The Informer. We reach out to the man from the Daily Mail, Wayne Flower, to talk about the things that are happening behind the news. And one story that really piqued my fancy, and I wanted to know a bit more. I'm still shaking my head. I can't believe it happened. The former principal of Caulfield Grammar, his name is Neil Lenny. How does he not only survive the 6 years as the principal of one of the best schools in the state, but that wasn't his only career move. He made many of them. He's notched up quite a few accolades, and the guy never had anything that vaguely resembles an authentic certificate to say he could teach.
No, that's right, George. I mean, he very brilliant educator by what his references have told the court, was a very poor student himself, and
yet he could impart that information, but he couldn't soak it in for himself.
Well, that's right. When he was a younger man, that seems to have been the case.
So how did he get a start? Was it just stealing something from his father, who must have been a teacher?
That's right. He effectively stole a piece of paper. It was his father's registration saying he's a teacher. And back in those days, you're talking about 76, all the schools needed to see was, he's a teacher, and away you go. So I think it was Mount Scopus was the first one to take him on, and he excelled at the job.
I was going to say, fair enough that he excelled, wonderful that he excelled, but isn't that extraordinary?
It's extraordinary because he wasn't exposed until effectively about 2006.
Does he not have also a number of schools, private schools, that he set up a company to educate students after class?
Well, like a tutorial.
Tutorial, yeah.
Some of the greatest minds.
So is this how he got caught out?
Well, no, the watchdog, education watchdog, they've obviously received a tip by someone
in the know.
Yeah, or he's filled out some forms and something hasn't added up.
Didn't resonate.
Yeah, and they've done some sniffing. And they've just exposed the lie. And then he got fined back then, but then they've gone further and they've referred it to the police, which means today he's facing jail.
He's facing jail?
Well, he was. He's been sentenced today, and he received jail but suspended sentence. So,
okay. So what, he's 71, 72?
72 now, so he's avoided jail by the skin of his teeth.
So you've been in a lot of cases, in a lot of court cases. Does this man deserve a little bit of leniency, or does he deserve a harsh rap around the knuckles and so that others don't try and emulate him?
Well,
you need to have those skills, though, don't you?
If I was a county court judge, but speaking from a county court judge, I'd say, well, we need to show him a little bit of leniency due to his age, and he paid back all of. I think it was well, the wages worked out to nearly $1 million, so he had to pay all that money back. That's a hefty fine, is it not? Well, it's just his
huge impost.
It was his life's work effectively fraudulently obtained, of course, that he's had to pay back. So he must have had to have sold property and to pay back that money at his age.
What a story!
In a lot of
what
trouble.
A story! That's not the only story that you've covered on the Daily Mail this week. You've also covered I believe the arrests that were made, the ones to do with the alleged terror plot.
Yeah, there was 3 youths picked up. 2 of them were of the adult age, 19 and 20, and they've appeared in court today. But it's still a little bit scant on information. The police are keeping their cards
and I suppose
at the moment.
I suppose there's a complete understanding. They can't tell you too much on how and why they tweaked and acted in this particular way, because they need to keep those pathways that they've established open in order to find others.
Well, that's right. And it's early days, and they don't really need the media's help. So why would they go about giving us too much information? They've got their guides, and they clearly would have had some fairly good information on to charge them with these specific terror charges. And they're accused, of course, of sounds like beating someone up and trying to start. The allegation is they've tried to start a bushfire. So I think that would be probably the first.
In a state like Victoria, which has suffered tremendously in the past, from fires.
I mean, you can't think of much more of a terrifying...
Well, I had to work through Black Saturday, and it was an awful time. Yeah. And we've lost some very important people, and the lives lost brought on a Royal Commission, did they not? You don't want to see any more like that. So, all right, let's finish on a lighter note. Well, I say a lighter note. I couldn't believe that that rather colourful lawyer that I know as Sarah Gard-Wilson is back in the news. What could she possibly be doing that's got her up in front of the news again?
Well, that's right. She's still about Sarah Gard-Wilson. I mean, people might remember her being portrayed in the Underbelly series a while back. She's represented a load of colourful characters, many of them...
The Morans and others, yes.
Many of them dead now, of course. But no, she's been back in the news about an incident. She was taking on someone who gave a bad review through Google, and she has gone to court to try to find out who this anonymous person was. She's back in court today. It's effectively been thrown out, and now she is threatening to sue Google. So
she's starting to sound like one of those vexatious litigants.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, but you can.
Well, I mean, it never ceases to amaze me the way that some people reach to satisfy whatever they want to satisfy. She's had a tremendous time of, you know, she's been in the news and the headlines for the better part of the last 20 years. And she has her own law firm, is that correct?
Correct, which was allegedly being defamed by this anonymous person who she claims she never did business with at all. So someone's out to get her.
Okay, so
I can imagine.
So is there more? Is there more to read in the Daily Mail?
There will be. Yes.
There will be. Right. Wayne Flower giving you the lowdown and giving you a sense that you need to catch up with what's happening. And if you do want to do that, the Daily Mail is the source. Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks, George.